The mystique of enlightenment.
The mystique of enlightenment.
I call that a mistake. It's a mistake.
But the book is a mystique, as you call it?
Yes, mystique. And that has been translated into a lot of languages, French, Italian, German, Polish, Russian, Chinese.
Can I have this copy?
We don't have the first book. No. These are the French translations of the first two books.
I had a couple of years of high school French.
What?
I said I had a couple of years of high school French, but I don't think I could get through it. Well, I have written quite a bit. I've talked to quite a few spiritual teachers. I guess people call themselves spiritual teachers or gurus. I actually interviewed Krishnamurti a few years before he died. He was here. In some ways, what you seem to be saying, at least all I really know is what I read in these few articles that Paul sent me.
Newspaper clippings.
Yeah, some newspaper clippings. And so that's about all I know about you, and a few things he said. But what you are saying seems to be a bit like what J. Krishnamurti was saying.
Basically, there is a fundamental difference between the two Krishnamurtis, if I may put it that way, and because they all assume that there is such a thing as mind. So I question the mind, I question the consciousness, and I make, if I may use that word, assertive statements that there are no thoughts there. You see, the thoughts are not self-generated and spontaneous. You see, thoughts are responsive to the stimuli. I stress the whole thing in pure and simple physical and physiological terms. So I explain why I emphasize that if there is any such thing as enlightenment, it should be expressed in physiological terms, not in mystical or religious terms. Why they did before is not my interest at all. I don't know.
I mean, enlightenment is just sort of a physical function of the brain, something that chemically happens.
Chemically happens. And I have no doubt that if you take, for example, what we call desire. Desire is an expression of life, you see. So as a matter of fact, what they say is correct. It is a hormone. You see. Once you accept the fact that it is a hormone, all that we have built around that and the demand that we should free ourselves from desires, replace desires with spiritual desires, and try to be in a desireless state, all that has no meaning to me. So the whole thing is built on the foundation of the value system. And the value systems, whether it is Oriental or Occidental, have evolved around the lives of the spiritual teachers like Jesus, Buddha, and Muhammad. And this is what I am emphasizing. Unfortunately, we have placed before ourselves the ideal of a perfect being, and naturally, the only way you can become a perfect being is to try to fit into the value system. I don't know if I make my sense. I maintain that the value system is false, and any attempt on the part of all individuals to fit themselves into the value system is the cause of man's
any
value system. It's not that I'm
Is that nihilism?
It is not nihilism. That's an easy way on the part of some people is to put a label.
There's anything wrong with it. I mean, what's the difference between it?
Nihilism is negating everything for the sake of negating. But you see, the nihilism also, the goal of nihilism is to reach the same goal through negative approach. To me, the negative approach has been evolved by people who have failed to reach their goals, no matter what the nature of the goal is, through positive means. So the goal is a positive goal.
So
No matter what you call it, whether it is a negative approach or a positive approach, it really doesn't matter. I'm questioning the goal that we have placed before ourselves, but the nature seems to be interested in a totally different thing. It is perfecting the human species. You know, this is what I'm emphasizing all the time. Yesterday I gave an interview to this Michael Thoms. You know, he has a program here, New Dimensions.
Yeah.
New Dimensions. I emphasized the same things yesterday.
So you're talking about perfecting the human species,
Yes.
but that's not your goal.
You know, if nature is, that is an assumption of our part, we have no way of finding out this, whether what nature is interested in, whether nature is really has a plan, if it is perfecting the species, is anybody's guess. But what is wrong with the culture or the society in which we are functioning is that it has placed before us, you see, the goal of a perfect being, you know. To evolve yourself or to become a perfect being, you have to fit into yourself into the value systems. See, that is where the civilization has taken a wrong turn. And because it asserts that every individual should fit himself or herself into the framework. And whereas, you see, every human being is a unique being. And it is the superimposition of that, or the input of cultural value system on the evolving human beings is the one that has thwarted the, I don't know what word you say, has prevented the possibility of what is there, you see, to blossom into a unique individual.
That sounds a bit like what Krishnamurti was saying, that any philosophy you put, if you're trying to live any ideology or philosophy, it just gets in the way, it just clutters things up.
No, but he says that there is something that you can do to change that into
meditation.
Meditation, or you see, the awareness, choiceless awareness. And I maintain that the awareness is an integral part of the activity of the brain, and it cannot be separated from the activity and used as an instrument to bring about any change there. That is one thing, and I don't see that there is anything there to be changed, you see, that there is anything there to be radically changed, you see. So to talk of a radical change, you see, of something that does not exist there has no meaning to me. So to talk of a mutation of mind is absurd, because, you see, there is no such thing as a mind there at all. You see, the mind is the totality of the experiences, you see, thoughts, feelings, and experiences. And there are no individuals, according to me. You see, the society or culture, or whatever you want to call it, has created these individuals for its own continuity and its status quo. And at the same time, it emphasizes that we should all become individuals. And so that has created the neurotic situation in the individuals. So when we push ourselves to fit into that framework, you see, or that value system, or whatever you want to call it, it pushes us in the direction of breaking down. You see, we all have become not only neurotic individuals, but it has become necessary for us to stay that way. The neurosis is an essential and integral part of our lives to survive in this society that we find ourselves in.
So what's the way out of this neurosis?
And the more you try to fit yourself into, the greater is the danger, you see, of moving into the other direction and become manic depressive individuals. Or live in the hope that one day, through more and more effort, and you will be able to fit yourself into that framework. That to me is something which cannot be achieved, except that we can live in hope and die in hope. And living with this, or trying to accept that also has no meaning at all. See, you are constantly in conflict with the society, with the culture, or whatever you want to call it.
So what do we do?
If I suggest some other way, you add
what do you do?
To the techniques.
What do you do? How do you deal with the world?
The world is lost, according to me. So there is nothing that you can do to reverse the course of events. Progressively, we are moving in the direction of destroying ourselves. But we can delay the destructive forces through the realization that if we try to destroy your neighbors, you will also go with them. See, that's the way the human body is functioning. That's the way the cellular structure is functioning. But if you place before ourselves the idea of love thy neighbor as thyself, you see, our brotherhood, or all these ideals before us, we only push these things and then back them up with violence. See, the whole foundation of culture or civilization or whatever you want to call is built on the foundation to kill and to be killed. If you look at the history of mankind, more people have been killed in the name of love thy neighbor as thyself than all these recent wars put together. See, all religions, there is not one single exception, you see. Unfortunately, the three great religions we have, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity, have been used as instruments of power. Otherwise, they would all have remained cults like any other cults we have in our midst today. So when once you use them as instrument of power, backed by destructive instruments of destruction, there is not much hope there for us.
But if you just were able to somehow magically abolish all religions, you're saying you would still have wars and violence, wouldn't you, over
but all
economics or land or whatever?
Even the political ideologies which we have evolved are nothing but the watery outgrowths of the religious thinking of man. See, the problem is that somewhere along the evolutionary process, I'm not even sure if there is such a thing as an evolution, the humans felt this self-consciousness the first time. That is to say, they separated from themselves from the totality of the whole nature. And then that is responsible for the fear, see, because he's lost, he's all alone.
So it's this break from nature, the separation from natural process, whatever that is. And you don't claim to know what that is.
No, I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah,
see.
Uh-huh.
So the whole thing is one single unit. See, when once this separation born out of self-consciousness occurred, he has evolved all this. You see, the religious thinking.
So is there some way to get back to that, recapture this lost state, this Garden of Eden or whatever?
I don't see that there is any way. The more you...
But you seem to say there was a Garden of Eden, in a sense. I mean, not literally, but I mean, there was a time, you seem to be saying, there was a time when there was not this separation.
Yeah, but when and why this separation occurred is, and if you try to find out the cause of it all, there would only be a hazarding opinions on that. We have no way of finding out why this occurred. I can hazard an opinion that nature may, you see, whatever is born is destroyed. You see, whatever is created has to be destroyed. So actually the creation and destruction is a simultaneous process. You see, everything that is born has to go. And we are only delaying that process through the help of thinking which we have developed, you see. So it is no doubt helped us, you see, to survive longer than the others.
But complete destruction is inevitable?
It is inevitable.
It is inevitable.
It is inevitable. That's what I am saying.
Uh-huh.
And
but is there a reason? Is there a reason to delay? I mean, is there a reason for us to? So we're delaying the inevitable. We are delaying the inevitable.
We are delaying.
So what's wrong with that?
No, nothing wrong. I'm not saying it is wrong, but the idea that one day we are going to create a paradise or heaven on this planet is a far-fetched idea. And I maintain the very idea of creating heaven on this planet is the one that is turning this which nature has created, say, into hell. So is there anything, that's the question that everybody throws at you. See, the question that is there anything that we can do to change, see, or reverse the process? Reverse it is for what, you see? To me, you see, the human species, he may not agree, others may not agree, is a sort of virus on this planet.
Is what?
Virus, you see.
A virus.
You see. So it's just like cancer or any other thing, And through the techniques we have evolved, the value system, we are only delaying the process, you see, of destruction, but not actually doing anything to stop this,
But can we do anything to stop it?
You can do anything, but there is no way you can stop it. I'm not singing.
So there's nothing else to do, right? There's really nothing else you can do but what we're doing now.
What are we doing? That's what I'm saying.
But what else can we do?
Anything that has, what I'm saying is the thought in its very nature is a protective mechanism. And anything that is born out of it, see, whether it is a religious teaching or a political ideology or economic systems is to distribute the wealth, which of course is not going to happen anyway, because nobody is going to part with anything, is a protective mechanism. So anything that is born out of that is destructive. So in our demand to understand the nature's laws, you see, unfortunately we are using them not for the benefit of the whole of mankind, for destructive purposes. The so-called progress we are so proud of is really not a progress, because all that we have discovered, the laws of nature, you see, are used for destructive purposes. That is why we have created
the environmental
problems.
How is that being used for destruction? How is this an awareness?
See, because we have assumed that the humans are created for some special grander purpose,
to save,
other than all the other species on this planet. So, in our demand to use everything for ourselves, we are creating the ecological problems, polluting everything. That's all that I'm saying. So, to talk of ecological, what is it there? To take care of that is all our energies are wasted. You see, to create an instrument or an organization or to do something to put an end to or delay this process is only adding to that momentum.
You said these energies are wasted. You imply there's something else to do with these energies.
Not something else to do, but you see, it is not something that a small group of people can do it. See, it is beyond the scope of individuals. You see, individually there isn't much that we can do about it, but collectively means it's war. You see, I have a way of solving the problems, you have a way of solving the problems, and so we both end up in the battlefield. You see, take for example the problem of starvation. And we have our own political ideology, the others have their own political ideology. If you accept this political system to solve the problem of starvation, we will succeed in eliminating the problem of starvation. They also say exactly the same thing. So both these systems are backed by powerful instruments of destruction, backed by them. See, so what happens? They both end up in the battlefield to solve this problem of starvation, but this starvation is still there. And if all this progress, the scientific advances, the technological miracles we have achieved, they have not percolated to the level of the common man. See, it helps only a negligible percentage of the people on this planet. And are we doing the right thing? Not that I am suggesting that we should all go back to the age of the bullock cart. I grew up in a place where the only mode of transportation available to me until I was 21 years was the bullock cart. So people ask me that why you are using
what was the word?
Bullock cart.
Oh, bullock cart, yeah.
Yes, you see. And people ask me why you are using all these cars, planes, because that is the mode of transportation that is available to me. And there is no special charm in trying to reverse the whole thing or to turn the clock back and go back to to the age of the bullock cart. I don't see any charm in that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. You were born in India.
India.
Where in India?
South India. I was born in South India, Madras, very near Madras.
Now, and you had some sort of formal religious training?
Yes, all that
briefly,
you will find that, you see, the story of my life in that book, instead of repeating that.
In which book?
In the introduction of that book.
This
one.
Okay.
That one, that would be. So, but
you were working with the Theosophy Society. When were you doing that?
But I was the secretary, international lecturer.
What years?
That was in 1947 to 53.
Mm-hmm.
That was the time when I had personal encounters with the Krishnamurti also. He was part of my background.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I was born into a Theosophical family.
Mm-hmm.
And my contacts with the leaders of the Theosophical Society pushed me into that field. So there came a time when I felt that so
it's still going. Yeah, a few minutes.
It was recording before? No.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Just wanted to see you here. Oh, it's got some more time. Just tell me a little bit of. I mean, you were a leader in the Theosophy Society.
Rising leader. I did not reach the top of the Theosophical Society.
Was Annie Besant still around then?
Yes, I was an young boy at that time. She died when I was 14 or 15, but I was closely connected with the second generation or third generation of the leaders of the Theosophical Society.
Mm-hmm. And you worked, but Krishnamurti had already kind of separated himself.
He separated long time before my time, you see, 1932. But he used to come there and talk, and I listened to him during that period between 1947 and 53. So I met him several times, but we didn't get along well. And there came a time when I parted company with him.
What was the problem?
The problem was the basic problem, and his emphasis that there is a mind and there is such a thing as a transformation of a radical transformation or mutation of mind. And basically, although I studied psychology, my master's degree, I always questioned, you see, the very foundation of the psychological thinking. So that there is something there to be transformed radically, that there is a self, that there is some center there, that there is a psyche, that there is a soul and all that kind of a thing. Never really interested me at all, because I didn't find anything at all. Not, you see, once you come to a point and maintain that God is irrelevant, it does not mean that you are an atheist or even an agnostic, you see, And we leave God, the existence of God and the cosmological, teleological, ontological proofs of the existence of God to the theologians. But the dependence on some power outside of you destroys the possibility of discovering things for yourself and by yourself. That was my approach to the problem, you see. So, I don't know.
And you had some personal experience in...
they are described there in the detail.
But just briefly, would you describe it? You could describe it.
It's difficult, they are enumerated there. If you have a chance, you can read them. It's not that I'm trying to avoid. To go into that is difficult. But what I want to emphasize is that whatever I have discovered, stumbled into, has no religious content in it at all. It has no mystical undertones, overtones, or any tones for that matter. And to express that, you see, in religious and mystical terms is to falsify. This is what I have found. I have been lucky, you see, to find myself, something hit me. You see, lately I've been describing that whatever happened to me, you see,
this is the thing I read in 67.
Yes, it's similar to the earthquake. You see here, you see when it hits you, or you call it lightning, when it hits you, the whole living organism, this human body, frees itself from the stranglehold, say, of thoughts, feelings and experiences of everybody that felt experience before you. The whole thing is flushed out of your system, and the body begins to function in quite a different way. And all those inactive ductless glands that are there in the body are suddenly activated, and there is a sort of a new equilibrium. You see, I don't know.
But this is what some people would call enlightenment. You're explaining this in a different way. But isn't that what a lot of people in the past have called enlightenment? That's sort of a.
I don't see any. See, it's a rubbed coin, and so everybody is selling enlightenment. You see, the marketplace. It has become a shoddy piece of spiritual goodies. Because there seems to be a market for that, and people are selling that.
Why is there such a market for that? What is it that's so attractive to people?
It is simple, because when once you feel that you have everything, and all your needs are taken care of, naturally the question arises, is that all? So then you create a market for this kind of a thing, see. So when once you are for some reason dissatisfied with your own religion, with your own church, with your own religious thinking, you look here, there and everywhere. And so and here particularly in this country, see, you want something new every time. See, and those who come from outside have all kinds of different techniques, and one of the reasons why, you see, the market became very attractive and lucrative for all these gurus from the East is the drugs, you see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when
psychedelic drugs.
And psychedelic drugs, you see, have given some sort of an experience to the people, especially of that generation. And that created the need to demand varieties of religious experiences, you see. And so, in those countries, they have every kind of gimmick, every kind of system there. So, one after the other.
What do you think that psychedelic experience was that people had?
It is basically nothing. It's a chemical disturbance in the system of the body. I maintain that all the techniques of yoga, meditation, gives you a sort of high, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like a drug.
Like a drug, you see. Yeah. This is a slower process, whereas the drugs act upon the chemistry of your body and produces these experiences, which basically are no different from all the other religious experiences. You know, when once you have an experience which is of an extraordinary nature, you want to share it with everyone. So that's where we are caught up, you see, in trying to have more and more experiences and varieties of experiences. But basically, even if you say that your goal is a spiritual goal, the instrument which we are using is matter, so it is also materialistic in way. In a particular culture, probably you place spiritual goals on a higher level than materialistic goals. But demand for spiritual goals is to be more materialistic than ever before.
Now, you mentioned that people have this need for new religious experiences, new gurus, new drugs, just something new. And then so you come along. And for a lot of people, they must fall into that same trap with you. I mean, they look at, for instance, Paul, I knew him from a story I did on Da Frijan. And so he was going from Da Frijan and he was talking, he described you in a sense as a guru.
Yeah, but that's
and these articles write you up as a sort of there's a tone to those.
You know,
so how do you feel about that?
I tell you, but the problem
people are falling into the same trap.
No, I'm not falling into the same trap.
Maybe you're not, but people who are coming to you.
But you see when once you are dissatisfied with one illusion, you're always looking for something else. This is what I am telling you. You have got to replace one illusion with another illusion. You know. So you want to believe. It's not only a want, but also there is a need to believe in something or the other. You replace one belief with another belief. even if this is pointed out to them, there is no way that they can free themselves from this belief. They move from one guru to the other.
But do you see that? Do you see people doing that with you?
Of course, you see,
all the time.
All the time. You know, I'm telling them, you see, you get lost. You see, do what you like.
See, Rajneesh said the same thing. I was interviewing Rajneesh once up in Oregon, and he said he had said that he doesn't want to start a religion. He doesn't want to be an ism. He doesn't want to be a Rajneesh-ism. At the same time that his organization was putting out a book saying Introduction to Rajneeshism. And so I said to him, how can you say you don't want to be an ism when you're allowing people to put this book out that says Rajneeshism? And he said, well, they don't listen to me. Which is kind of a cop-out, because he has some responsibility for what's done in his name.
Yes, it is. It is.
So how do you get around that problem?
So far been successful in preventing people to create any organization around me.
But if you have no desire to proselytize, why do you even want to talk to me? Because what I could very well do is write up the story, and it's printed all these hundreds of thousands of times.
Yes.
Wouldn't you just say, no, I don't want to talk to this reporter? Because
I talk to anybody. You see, I talk to the...
No, but you see what I mean? I mean, I'm not just anybody. I am.
No, listen, you see, I will tell you, this, I have seen a lot of all these newspapers, and most written about newspapers, person in India. And they are looking for, you may not be looking for, for a new kind of a subject. As you say, you have written on Rajneesh, you have written on Baba Free John, you have written on Krishnamurti. That's your job.
Yeah.
See, you are looking for a new subject. May not be, because maybe he pressured you to come to see me, or suggested that...
No, it's not. Look, I came to you because my friend had seen your book, and he is a very skeptical sort.
So you are looking for a subject. You see, the people are asking me, why suddenly you have decided, you see, I appeared on many of your television, PBS and all these programs. Why you have suddenly become public, or I say, gone public, they are asking all my friends. I avoid it. Going on public. You see, but unfortunately, why you talk, it's a very difficult question to answer. What is the point in hiding myself, you see, in a cave? What does it prove? You see, if you become silent and retire from this world, still you see the people attach some significance to that. You see, that is always the case. And my interest is, if it is a question of talking to her, if it is a question of talking to Paul, if it is a question of talking to anybody else, why not I talk to you, or why not I talk to that man, is Mishloff here, or somebody else there, you see, on the television. They are entertainers, you see.
No, but if you really want to avoid being...
No, I don't want, I want to do something. There is a motivation, you see. The motive behind my wanting to see you or agreeing to see you, there is no such thing as a motiveless action at all.
Okay.
The motive is, you see, to seek your help, to express myself in such a way that if you can put me across to your readers, that there is nothing religious, that there is nothing spiritual about what I am talking about. Even if you call me an agnostic or a nihilist, it doesn't matter. You see, the Polish people have translated that first book into Polish and submitted it to the government at that time, a couple of years ago, because there are no other publishers there. They rejected on the ground that it is a nihilist, you see. They put a label on that. I don't know what the Russians would call that book when the book is translated into Chinese, and they can't come to see me now, you see, in Hong Kong. So this is my motive. You see, all those who come to see me are either from that group or this group or Krishnamurti's group or disillusioned people with their particular groups. So the difficulty of carrying on a conversation with them is, I have to use your medium. I have no other way of expressing myself.
But you have people who, there are these, and I see them all the time, who jump from one guru to the next.
Exactly.
And then jumping to you is, in a way, a very logical progression.
It's not a logical progression at all, because they are interpreting what I am saying within that religious framework, you see. So that is the reason why, you see, they put this label on me, the God man, you see, in India, or a guru. The problem is...
Anti-guru?
I am not. I'm not concerned about the gurus at all. I'm not a guru. So I want, you see, to express myself through your medium. Maybe you will be able to put me across to your readers. What I am trying to emphasize, that what is, if you call it an enlightenment, it doesn't matter. It has no religious content in it. That's all I want to say.
You say it's a natural state.
It's a very natural state in the sense that natural state is not a synonymous term for enlightenment or any such thing at all. A natural state, when once the stranglehold of thought is released, from controlling the whole of this body, it functions in a natural way. The whole system becomes so sensitive, you see. So what I am saying is, the mind is sensual in its nature. It is interested only in sensuality and sensualist experiences. Even spiritual experiences, which we consider to be extraordinary, fall into the category of sensuality. Whereas this living organism is interested in sensory activity. See, that is the living thing that is there. That's all that I am pointing out. It has no interest, you see, to convert anybody. You are as unique as I am. Your uniqueness cannot express itself as long as the cultural input has a stranglehold on it. If you are lucky and if it is freed from that stranglehold, whatever you are left with, you see, expresses itself. You see, but what is there is something unique. And that uniqueness cannot express itself as long as there is an effort, attempt on your part to fit yourself into that thing. Whatever potential is there. I'm not talking of spiritual potential. See, the potential, the human potential, will surface and express itself in an extraordinary way. It is bound to be an individualistic thing. So what I'm saying is that, you see, the whole spiritual business is something like riding a tiger. And it's a very tiring thing to go on riding a tiger because you are frightened of jumping off the tiger. And if you jump off, you fear that the tiger might gobble you up with there. So you keep riding the tiger. You see. So once you are free from the fear of this boredom or the fear of jumping off the tiger for whatever reason is not there, that is all that is there. You keep riding without any destination.
Now, when you, at some point in your life, you had this same desire.
Same. Otherwise, I would have wasted all my life.
And you had this one sort of dramatic.
It was something like, you see, lightning hitting me.
Is this the thing at the strip show? There's a girly show. This was happening.
First time I felt the.
Why there?
Huh?
Why there?
See, as a protest against Krishnamurti, see, somebody dragged me to attend Krishnamurti's talk. For the first time, they wanted us to buy tickets to listen to him in Paris. So I didn't want to pay any money to Krishnamurti's talks, and my friend and I were standing there. I said, "Come on, let's go and spend this money and go to not a strip tease, I don't know what it's called."
You said girly show.
Burlesque, exactly. Not burlesque. Burlesque is a very cheap thing, striptease. But there in stage show it is, you see, some sort.
No, I know, like a Lido in Paris.
Yes. Something
Folies Bergère.
And I got Folies Bergère, yes. And
was it the Folies Bergère?
Casino de Paris, I think, actually. Similar thing, Casino de Paris. And for the first time there I experienced a very strange experience that is described there, you see. And when I was looking at it, I was not in any way upset by the whole thing at all, but who is dancing, you see, what is going on there, you see, this kind of a strange experience hit me, you see, whether I was there dancing or the dancers are there, I could not separate these two things, And, you see, I felt as if I was there on the stage, you see, dancing, and with all these breasts jumping up, you see, and it was a very strange experience for me.
You had never seen something like that?
Never felt like that at all, you see.
You've never seen a show like
that? Never.
Yeah.
That was the first and the last time. Not that I continue to go, or I recommend people to go.
You don't recommend that as a way to tour life?
Not
the Mitchell Brothers.
No, not at all. I don't recommend anything. It's because I don't know what triggered this in me.
That is why I use always this peanuts business, you see.
But you must have had something to do with where you were, because your whole thing is that you were responding to what's out there, right?
The separateness was absent, you see. I didn't know whether, I was a dancer or whether I was watching it. It was some strange kind of an experience. I did not at that time relate that strange experience to anything that was in the direction of my achieving the goal, you see. So I never felt anything, that there is anything nearness or far awayness from my goal, you see. It just hits you, and it is a random thing according to me, see. People wanting to find out the cause. Now a friend of mine has been asked to write a biography for penguins. He's a famous movie director. And I tell him, you see, in India, you see,
what's his name?
His name is Mahesh Bhatt. He produced Mahesh Bhatt is his name. He has produced a lot of films which were very famous. And I said, there is no story to tell. You see, people want to read the biography of the man to find out what helped him, you see, to be enlightened. I am saying that whatever has happened to me has happened despite everything I did. So I say it is a cause. And what's the point in writing a biography? There is no story to tell. But people are interested in finding out the cause, see, how it happened to me, so that they can make it happen to them. So I say there is no point writing the story. It's everything I did, everything that happened, every event in my life to this point is irrelevant to whatever has happened to me. But still people want to find what happened to this man and why it happened, Has anything happened? I really don't know. But I found myself in a situation where the very demand to be free from anything is up.
But you had this experience I take it you had been doing a lot of meditating and for years before this, right?
Yes, all that I rejected.
And you never had that experience.
No, whatever
what you're describing is a fairly classic Satori kind of...
I don't know, I would call it, you see, but what triggered this, you see, I would never know. So there is no question of...
But you were open to, you didn't have that goal in mind. You were just watching the show, right?
Yes, no.
So you were open to it happening, perhaps. You weren't trying to attain something.
I don't know.
So so that was in 67.
67.
And then just briefly what happened? The next...
Nothing happened. You see, I talked about this, you see, and as a... naturally, see, I was made to believe that it would be in an area where some extraordinary things will happen, a revolution will take place, mutation of mind will take place. And then in that enthusiasm or euphoria, if I may put it that way, I talked about the changes that happen in the body. See, to find a new sort of an equilibrium, the activity of the ductless glands and all that, which naturally they interpret it in spiritual terms. And then I realized that somewhere that, you see, people who listened to this started simulating these things and experiencing the things that I talked about. So it is neither the physiological change nor a psychological change. There is actually no change there at all, except that the body, after this earthquake or whatever you want to call it, see, hit this body. It found a new sort of an equilibrium, and which is the natural way of functioning of this body. But I never put myself on a platform and talk to anybody. But it's very strange. Since then, these 21 years, you have no idea at all how many thousands and thousands of people have passed through the portals of my residences in India, in Switzerland, here, in America, everywhere. Nobody is sitting around because they don't get anything from it.
So
I have a few friends like that. My worst is in New York or somebody else, I have only a few friends there. So if anybody comes to talk to me, I talk to him, and this is what I have found, take it up. That's all.
So you never speak? You never give talks?
No, never.
Groups.
Never.
You have no organization?
Lately, no, nothing. And people ask me, why do you travel? And you see, why do I travel? Ever since I was 14, I have never lived in one place for 6 months at this point. I have a little money, so to avoid the harsh winters here, I go to India to avoid summers there, I go somewhere else. If I don't have the means, I don't know what I would do. So I never take anything from anybody. I have no organization, no ashram.
So how do you live? What do you?
I am very old. I have little enough money. You see, that's all to take care of my needs. I don't take anything from anyone.
So who gets the money from the books?
Nobody.
You have royalties from
Nobody. I release the royalties for the video interviews, television interviews, also to the BBS or whatever the organization.
But I mean, this book is sold for something, right?
Publisher spend the money and made the money. I don't get anything at all.
So, how long have you been in the Bay Area this time?
Every year I come for 3 months, you see. I was there in New York for 6 weeks and I'm here for 2 weeks. And next spring I will come. So 3 months.
And you just come and you sit in here?
Here, you see, I stay here.
Sit here?
That's all. If somebody comes...
what else do you do? I mean,
what else
what do you enjoy doing?
Whatever I am doing is all that is there for me.
No,
at that particular moment, whatever, if there is nothing there...
What do you do to have a good time?
Huh?
What do you do to have fun?
I have no idea of what a good time is. Talking to you at this moment is all that is there for me.
And you go hiking in
never.
You watch
I'm
TV,
an old man. I am an old TV sometimes.
You look like you're in pretty good shape. No.
For 72 years I'm alright. And I watch only commercials more than they're more interesting to me than
the commercials.
A lot of commercials. Yeah, because you see the way they are trying to sell these things to the people. That's very interesting to me, you see. You know, if I were to be, they cannot make me buy anything that they are selling. But the way they are selling, see, is very interesting to me. The sales pitch and how people can fall for that kind of a thing is amazing.
So you just sitting here all the time?
No.
Watch TV and talk to people?
Huh?
You don't go outside?
Very rarely. I go for a ride. That's the only exercise I have for me. People ask why. How can you say that the ride in a car is enough exercise for my body? That's all. Every part of your body is involved in riding the car. Then I am not interested in walking around.
So how much longer are you going to be?
I'm leaving on Sunday and go to Hong Kong and then go to India. And I might come to the United States next spring.
Well, do you mind if I give my friend Paul, who read your book, your phone number if he wants to talk to you?
I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going to...
but he wanted to actually come with me, but he couldn't because he was...
he's also in the paper or is it?
No. He's just a guy.
Where does he live?
He lives in San Anselmo.
I see.
I called him to see if he wanted to come with me because he's the one who showed me your book.
Oh, I see.
He's a very nice guy. If you want to
Sunday maybe. I'll be back on Sunday. Sunday night I leave.
Sunday?
Yes.
Well, can I give him the number to call you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I never say no to anybody.
What's night? You be here tonight?
Huh?
You be here tonight?
Yeah, I'm here tonight, but I don't know if he's free to come.
I don't know, what he wants to talk about. But if he would want to by himself. But he was interested in coming with me, just to sort of hear what you had to say. Let's see.
They always call me a guru or a god man in India. I don't know why. I blame it on them, you see. Not you. Why you can't put me across to your readers what I'm trying to say? See, I'm trying so hard to express myself in such a way that there is no religious content in what I am saying. I don't care what you
Well, that's why you would say anti-guru in the sense of
I am not trying to free anybody.
No, that doesn't mean against gurus. It means more like just that it's... I don't know exactly what anti-guru does mean.
I really don't know, but I think it's not fair to call me an anti-guru because the reference point is the guru. And I'm not for a moment trying to free them from their gurus.
Well, but you are saying there's nothing spiritual about this experience. So in that sense, it's an anti... It's
nihilism. It is whatever label you put on that, it's all right with me. I just don't care. Even if some factual errors are there in reporting, it doesn't interest me.
You don't care if you're you say you don't
No.
care if you're misquoted. You don't care
Not at all.
what happens with
Not
your
at all.
book.
Not at all.
Is this when was this picture taken?
15 years ago.
Is there anything else I wanted to go? That's good.
You do the reporting in the religious section or what?
Well, I read a lot about religion, the psychology, human behavior, that sort of thing. But so yeah, that whole very broad range of stories, everything from
But you write to the
in the Chronicle, San Francisco Chronicle. Let me give you my card just so you know who.
No, I'm just
What?
curious, you see.
Just so you know. And I read about religion, psychology. Well, I think most of the questions I had. It's interesting talking to you.
Thank you. Does it make any sense to you?
Oh yeah, sure. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Where is that?
Can I look through the?
Oh, sure. There's one here in Daily News.
The New York Daily News?
Yes.
Bill Bell?
Somebody who is that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Is
Yes.
it Bill Bell? Yeah, I know Bill. I just saw him at the Catholic Bishops meeting last week.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
But he's
know.
funny. Did you like Bill?
I don't know. I don't read newspapers.
Oh, he didn't interview you.
No,
Oh.
he reviewed that book, the first book. And some rabbi, you see, published the book in America.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, where is that? I don't
Well, you
know.
didn't talk. Bill is very
I never
funny.
met him.
He's a very funny. He's Charles Bell is his violent.
Yes, is that the name?
Yeah. You didn't see him though. I mean, he talked to Rabbi about it. That's an interesting story.
There must be somewhere. You can. There was a terrible reaction against my interview in India, television interview. They don't like me in India.
They have a thing about it. They don't like Rajneesh either. They don't like a lot of people, I guess. So these are mostly Indian papers?
Yes, mostly. And also, you see, there's Dutch papers there, Holland and French, Italian.
Why do you think you're so controversial, or they think you're so controversial? What's
Something they have to, the journalists have to use some phrases, I suppose. This is not controversial, what I'm saying. Take it or leave it basis. You don't like it? I think this is the one. Daily News.
This looks like a...
No, they're all there.
That's a tabloid. Yeah, I should see what he wrote.
He was tying it into what the rabbi's
Yes, yes.
theories, basically.
Well, how did you first hear about Eugene?
I read his book, The Mystic Enlightenment, last year in Cambridge, and came out here actually last spring to be with a teacher, and then
Which teacher?
Andrew Cohen. I don't know if you've heard of him yet. The Vedanta teacher, Advaita Vedanta teacher, the guru.
Uh-huh.
And then I read Yuji's other book, This Myth Mind is a Myth, down in Carmel, and found out that he was going to be here. So I came and visited him several times with some other people who had come out here, and it just ended that desire to be with a teacher. Very freeing. We all left, went back to New York, and went back to our lives.
Huh.
So
now he stays with your place when
he
comes to New
he
York,
just
or-
did this last time. He invited him to stay.
What was it that tell me a little bit what it was that he said that made you just sort of throw away?
Well, I asked him about surrendering. How he felt about surrendering, which was the path with his teacher, surrendering to the guru. And he said, what are you surrendering? You're surrendering your self-reliance. Who are you surrendering to? And I don't know, it just clicked that he was on the wrong track. And then I asked him, how should you live while you're waiting to find out if you're going to be the one in a billion to be struck by lightning? And he said that the body has its own intelligence. You're already living. You know, the body knows how to live. I don't know, it just seems so obvious that 5 of us walked out of here and looked at each other after we left and said, that's the end.
Had you had other teachers before?
I've had a couple of Zen teachers and Buddhist masters. So, no more seeking.
And now here we have this is not your question, but your picture on the wall, like someone who has a guru's picture on the wall.
No, that's a strange picture because the fellow who lives here is the one who has edited that book. He tried, you see, the strange way of putting those faces together. I don't know, he explained, what is it?
He reversed, he did the inner negative, and he reversed the left face, the left side of the face and the right, because they're very different.
That's the same name?
Yeah, this is Bill Bells. I know him very well.
Anyway, he didn't say anything. He's the one who has published that book in America, his first book.
You say you're 72?
Yes.
You say your age wrong here? Because he has you 66.
That was a long time ago, 4 years ago or 5 years ago.
No, it says 80. So it says 88.
He can't be 66. I was born 1918, 71 and all.
Yeah. So how many people would you say you've seen since you've been
My life, 21 years.
No, I meant since you've been here, just this whole recent trip here in Northern California.
I don't know, I don't count to see as many people as this room can accommodate.
But would it be like dozens or
Yes,
hundreds?
dozens,
Or
dozens.
So it's not a long line coming in.
No. Ramdas, I met him. We had a long discussion. You have heard of that Albert?
Oh yeah, I've talked to him.
Yes, we had a long...
He doesn't call himself Ramdas anymore.
No.
He wants to be Richard Alpert.
Richard Alpert. And we talked for 1.5 hours.